welcome you to Mindfulness, the future of productivity and well-being, and that's with Razia.
Thank you.
And myself, Richard. So yes, a very warm welcome to all of you. I know we've got people from all over the globe, some people from Singapore, Australia, South Africa, France, and then of course the UK, which is where we are at the moment. So a very warm welcome. I'm just going to quickly show you what the agenda is for today. So I'll put that onto our slide, and just to go over why we are here, that is essentially, it is why organizations are using mindfulness in business, how they use it. So in other words, what are they doing? And then Razia is going to give a live practice session. So this is one of the critical points that we're going to be covering, is what happens within the organization. Then I'm going to run through some of the business cases, why organizations are using it and the results that they have seen. And then at the end, we're going to give you a special offer that Razia is going to be running a series of webinars that will give you a far greater detail of what she's going to be running through today. So I think that's probably enough about me, and I'm going to turn you over to the star of the show, who is Razia. So a very warm welcome, and thank you so much for being here, for joining everybody today. And yeah, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Richard. And I think it's been a very special journey to actually meet Richard and to be able to do this together. You know, Richard and I, we found me, I think, on LinkedIn, and I put out a video, you know, about the work that I was doing at GSK, and it's just our encounter. And he, you know, he was interviewing me for a book actually that he's writing, and he, in his webinar, in his video, and I just asked him, where are you? Where are you? And it turned out that we lived in the same town, literally like, you know, 10 minutes away drive. So it just shows you, you know, I thought you were in the US or some California.
Must be my tan.
So it's very special to be able to you know, come to know you, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to bring this to more people, to more organizations. So yeah, I'm grateful. I just wanted to start with this, and just wanted to, maybe the next slide, to tell you a little bit about myself, my journey with mindfulness, and then I'll give you more about what and the how and everything. But I think it has to start with my own journey. And as I would like to use 3 pictures here, as you can see. The first one is the horse dragging the cowboy. That's when I kind of started in my early years at GSK. You know, when I took my role, I moved from France to the UK and took a role that was much lower than I was qualified to do. But because I was, you know, I raised 2 children, I needed a job. So I, you know, and I followed my husband, as we do, for his career. And for me, it was just going back into the system. And I took a role that was much lower than my qualification. But what it meant was, it was the start of the beginning of this new journey, I would say. So sometimes the struggle that comes to us, it is in those struggle itself that, you know, as Thich Nhat Hanh says, you know, no mud, no lotus. For me, when I started GSK, well, I was in the mud, you know. So what happened was I lost all my self-confidence, self-esteem, and I didn't really know who I was. I just lost sense of what am I good at? You know, for me. And at the same time, my mom was suffering from a depression. So in a way, those 2 things made that I was lost, completely lost. But then there was a lady that used to come to GSK House, so the head office of GlaxoSmithKline, and she used to meditate, you know, lunchtime. So I was doing that alongside. I saw a coach. There were different things that was coming in my life, but the most important thing for me was I kind of understood, what self-awareness was at an intellectual level, but didn't really embody that. And for me, that's what happened in my practice in the meditation. So I guess fast forward to now, the last picture, this is, I have a job, my dream job. GSK sent me to be silent. I go on long retreats, and it's, at the moment, my role is to really grow and embed mindfulness across the organization. And it started with just a small people. So when I saw the difference that meditation or the mindfulness brought into my life, I started this small group at work. Really, we started with 5 people, and you won't believe it, within 3, I started this in 2015, and we are beginning of 2019, and the community has grown to over 5,000 employees. We come and we meditate every week. So amazing journey it's been. And that's what, for me, it's almost, this thing is much bigger than I am. And I feel like I'm on that last picture. I'm flying.
Yeah, fantastic. And I think it's very important to what you mentioned earlier, just about how it all started. And we'll come back to that a little bit later.
Yeah.
Starting as a grassroots movement in GSK, and that's been one of the fundamentally important things. It's very important to other organizations, and I've talked to people for example, at SAP, where they also run an incredibly successful program. The same thing, if it hadn't started as a grassroots progress, it would never have got to the heights that it has. But anyway, I'm interrupting, so let's carry on.
I want to ask everybody here just one question. What does meditation or mindfulness mean to you? So that I can gauge what is your understanding, what is the level of practice or understanding here. So I think Richard will just send a poll out.
Set up a poll, so if you can choose an answer, that'd be great, and we'll just get an idea.
So you have a fair understanding of what mindfulness is and what it can bring. So next slide, Richard.
Okay.
And we'd like to now just do a little practice with you as we start to really come to the crux of this. So the why mindfulness. Why do we need to be doing this? What I'll do is I'll guide you into a 1-minute practice. No, I won't guide you, but what I want you to do for that 1 minute is allow your mind to settle. So try not to think about anything. I'm going to ring a bell to start it, and then I'm going to ring a bell to bring you back. So nothing to do. You don't even have to close your eyes, but just allow your mind to settle as best as you can. So I'm curious to hear what came up. I think we've got another poll here, just to hear what was going on. How was that? Thoughts about happening in the now, thoughts about the future, and nothing at all. So my sense is those people who've put nothing at all, probably your mind you are focusing on something, because left on its own device, it's very difficult for our mind to focus unless you've had some sort of training. But again, it's difficult for me to know exactly. And yes, thoughts about the future, because that's what the mind do. Either the mind goes in the past or it goes into the future. So if we can go to the next slide, Richard. So our minds are designed to be busy. We have, according to Dr. Joe Dispenza, a neuroscientist, we have more neurons firing in our minds in a single day that there are mobile phones on the planet. So there is a lot going on, right? And next slide. So, and our minds are designed to be busy. Harvard has also found that on average, 47% of our waking hours is spent not here, like the pictures, it's somewhere else. Think about yourself. So where is the mind? So our minds likes to ruminate in the past. We like to think about things that didn't go well, or think about the conversation that didn't go well, or very often the mind will also get stuck with the negativity, the negative part of the things, and we'll focus on that. Or it will speculate and worry about the future, things that haven't even happened. But the question of what if, what if, what if. And the other aspect of our mind is we have long to-do lists. So the longer our to-do list is, think a bit about yourself. We have to-do lists, but then we are also thinking them in our head. It's like we can't let go, right? So I'm sure you can relate to what I'm saying here. And the other aspect of our mind is we tend to be on automatic pilot then, because of our busy. Our life today is really busy, right? It's so interesting because we have all this technology and we have made so much advancements, but yet, look at the pace of our work. Just look at your, I don't know who you are, but this is a universal. I've done those sessions with hundreds and hundreds of people, and the common theme that keeps coming back is we're multitasking all the time. Everything is with our technology, with our pace of life, things to do at home, things to do at work. And we know that in the in corporate worlds, everything also is one person is doing the job of four people. So we tend to live on automatic pilot, what we call in mindfulness term. And then what happens also with the mind is we get caught up with our impulses. So not only our behavior become automatic pattern, our patterns of thinking becomes automatic as well. And why is this a problem? Because then we react. We get into that place of reacting to everything that happened to us. The car driver that comes in front of us, there we go. And what happens is the mind then registered. Yeah, you're laughing, Richard.
Yeah. We've all had somebody pull and button us.
Yes, but it's not that. It's also that, but it's also mindfulness then can be a very powerful tool, with the training to actually stay with the discomfort, but you use your body. So I'm going to tell you now what is mindfulness. And if anybody has any questions along the way, please feel free to stop me, right? So mindfulness, according to, this definition is from John Kabat-Zinn. John Kabat-Zinn was the first Western scientist. He's a biologist in the US, and he's a longtime meditator. And he started this. It's thanks to him. This is how he defines mindfulness. It means paying attention to what's happening in the present moment, in the mind, the body, and external environment, with an attitude of curiosity and kindness. So John Kabat-Zinn was a meditator, and he developed this 8-week program, which is called mindfulness-based stress reduction. And it's thanks to him that nowadays mindfulness is even in schools in the UK. Mindfulness is in the parliament. You know, I'm part of the group in the parliament that's recommending this as a way forward for workplace. Why? Because we were able to plug people who meditate through this 8-week course into an MRI scan, and we saw, and I'll bring that later, structural changes in the brain. So what's happened what's the difference between mindfulness and meditation? The tool, as you can see in the picture, the tool to be more mindful is the meditation. So when you sit and you meditate, it's as if you're taking your brain, I think it's the next slide, to the gym. I'm going to come back to that one, but I just want to show you. I'm going to come back to those slides 1 minute. But it's this. What we're doing with meditation is we are training our attention muscle. We are training our mind to be more present. So, and in a sense, this way of, this is, luckily there is this tool. So, the myth about meditation, as soon as when you look at the newspapers or generally people think that meditation is, you do meditation to relax yourself. This is a side effect of meditation, but the actual reason why you meditate is to really bring your mind back, because the mind needs, has got its own agenda. It will keep going, the past, the future, the next thing, so the meditation actually train you to be more present. So if we go back to the previous 2 slides, I just want to reiterate, I've already talked about that. We are living in what we call a paid reality. We are pressured, we are always on, information overloaded and distracted. And actually there was a study done by McKinsey in 2005. And when we are overloaded, the brain's way to cope is to multitask, right? We think by doing lots of things at the same time will allow us to get all of these things done. But the price to pay is then we become very distracted. Then we live completely on this automatic pilot. And that what happens, and McKinsey said this, multitasking from a study they've done actually makes human beings less productive, less creative, less able to make good decisions. Numerous studies have found that modern office life is transforming competent professionals into frenzied underachievers.
Wow. Frenzied underachievers. That's quite scary, isn't it? Okay.
So in a way, this is, why mindfulness is getting a lot of attention in the corporate world, because I think we've come to the place where we understand this is not sustainable, the way we are working these days. And look at what Thomas Davenport, director of Accenture Institute of Strategic Change, said. Understanding and managing attention is now the single most important determinant of business success. And I would say even more, it's not just of business success, it's of your own success and your own happiness. And then I want to read this to you. It's important to ask that question, who is in control? And life, in a sense, is about results. And results come from the actions that we take. And the actions we take come from the choices we make. So our choices actually come from the thoughts we think. Would you agree? So our thoughts and are the foundation for everything we want to achieve in life. Thus, our ability to manage our mind becomes critically important. And we are best able to manage our thoughts when our mind is clear, calm, and focused. And this is true in all aspects of life, but essentially true in the workplace. We never give the brain we never give it a break. Even when we are going to sleep, the mind is, the thoughts, the monkey mind is even worse, and people can't sleep anymore. So what's happening is you're giving your mind something else to focus on other than the thoughts. And that brings it with that sense of being relaxed, that sense, and which is fundamental for human beings, for our brain, for us to be more creative, think about yourself. When do you tend to have your most brilliant ideas? When is it? You know, those aha moments.
I have mine in the shower usually.
Voila, that's it.
Absolutely. It's when I'm relaxed.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So why are we not doing this strategically?
Showering strategically. Oh, that's actually a very good idea. But yeah, you're right. Why aren't we relaxing our minds and getting them to stop wandering around as much as they do?
Yeah. Isn't the mind actually controlling the whole system here?
Absolutely. Yeah.
It was useful to work on dealing with thoughts rather than feeling having thoughts was wrong. Yes. Yes.
Yeah, that's great, Graham. Thank you.
In the shower. I had the same problem as Janet. Yes.
Okay. All right.
So in a way, you see what we've tapped now, the practice is we're stepping into the mindful being, you know, and with practice, then you are able to be more present, more embodied. You know, look at some of our greatest, you know, leaders that, you know, the great leaders I'm talking about. You know, when we call of presence, there is something about them that is embodied. So you carry it with you. You know, that's what our body is here for us to do. Most of us are living as if we're living just from the top of our head here. So with the practice, you are able to be more embodied. It doesn't mean that you don't feel stress, but you feel stress, you feel sadness as an emotion. It is not part of complete who you are, you know. So can you see how powerful that can be to weave through those emotions, feelings, sadness? This is all part of our human thing. Otherwise we're not human if we don't, you know. I think most of us are living a life thinking that no, we, you know, we want the simple life. We don't want all the struggle that comes with it. If you found that recipe, let me know, because I haven't found it. But what I found is to be intentional, you know, to move, you know, to be more intentional, to be more creative, and to be more responding rather than reacting. And to know that my thoughts are just mental events. They are not facts. And, you know, this is just a slide to say that I've talked about it earlier on. Mindfulness actually brain structural changes in the brain. And these changes can affect both your physical and your mental health. There is a study done by Sarah Lazar, from neuroscientist from Harvard. And actually Harvard only offers mindfulness to everybody on the staff. You know, I was in Harvard in July, and they were very curious how I was doing this in GSK, you know, on the short sessions virtually, because you can, most companies out there are, you know, the struggle with mindfulness in corporate world is how can we globalize this fairly on a short budget and very quickly. So I can talk about that later, but what I'm saying here is this is why it's important, you know, self-regulation, you know, with regards to your emotions and with regards to your stimulus control. I don't know if, you know, when we are running, when, you know, physical exercise is good, but I don't know any other training out there that is allow us to do this, to rewire our brain, what we call neuroplasticity. So that's what the science is showing about mindfulness. That's how it helps us to grow our insula. It's that part of our brain that makes us feel we are connected in this world on a much bigger level. This is why it's good for coaches. So many advantages. Optimal decision making. It allows us to shrink our amygdala, which is the part of our brain that controls our stress and our fear. So this is all science-based.
And these are actually physical changes that take place in the brain.
It does.
Fascinating, that I must say. Yeah, that's really good. Sure. Okay. Should we go on to the next?
Yeah. Okay. And I'm conscious of time, so just
mindful of time.
Yes.
Okay.
And I want to honor the time, exactly. And just to say that there was a question from, before I go into this, I will come to this.
Yes.
There was a question from Janet. I'm curious how you got this embedded in GSK in the first place. so it started as a grassroots movement, Janet. You know, it wasn't done. You know, it took me quite some time to actually get this in front of the leadership team that this was important. So I started doing short sessions of mindfulness just as taster session. So I was doing an hour lunchtime, just people to do what I'm doing here with you, just come for a taster. And that people, it was word of mouth. It grew. And then now what I'm doing is I'm doing short session, half an hour session during lunchtime, where people, and I talk about, I make it very practical to the workplace. So at the moment, the one that I'm going to lead future webinars, the offer is this, you know, to do exactly that, for you to go through over an 8-week program and talking about those topics, but each session that includes a little bit of teaching or you know, just like I've done today, give you the science and the topic, and then we do a practice, and then I get people to practice in between, and it is almost like an 8-week series. It goes over 8 weeks. But really, how I got it embedded is it's word of mouth. People actually coming to the session and telling everybody, gosh, that's how it, you know, it's really at the moment. And then it got to the next level. So now I'm globalizing the program into 15 different languages, so which is fabulous. So that's how. But the movement was really very local. One person can change an organization. Richard.
Yes, and it's a very interesting perspective, that. And I'm just going to run through some of the benefits that other organizations have found. So the benefits to SAP, for example, and SAP, as we all know, it's an engineering organization, IT, and they have measured a 200% return on investment on their mindfulness programs, and profit up by 50 to 60 million euros for every percentage point increase in the employment experience index. So that is predominantly driven by their mindfulness programs within SAP. And of course, they measure profit up by 85 to 95 million euros for every percentage point increase in the business health culture index. And how do we get business health? Well, that's also driven by mindfulness, because it drops people's stress levels and it helps them to manage stress better. And there are a lot of different ways that comes through in the organization. One of the things, I was speaking to Wolfgang Faschnacht, who's the vice president for HR at SAP, and this is just related to what Razia was saying earlier about the value of this program for SAP is that it was not started by HR or organizational learning and development or training. It started as a grassroots movement within the organization. And I think that's what has been the hallmark of success at organizations like SAP and GSK and a number of other organizations as well. I'll come on to that a little bit later. There's another organization, BlackRock. They, 91% of people there felt that this program positively added to their culture. What's brilliant. People are looking to change their culture. This is a fantastic way of impacting culture. Once again, less stress, better managed stress, and there was an increase in innovation and creativity and a number of other benefits as well. Benefits to GSK.
Yeah.
So this is your.
These are the feedback. After each series, I send a survey out, and I'm entering now I'm doing my series 12 since I've started, and this is what I get every single time. People are saying they're more productive. 87% help them manage stress, 96% refresh their mind, and constantly this 99% is, that's it, recommend to their colleague, and that's how it's growing. But
that's so important as well, is that people who go through the programs, they will go talk to their colleagues and say, you've got to go on this program. The benefits that I feel personally are absolutely fantastic.
People have said to me it's their lifeline, you know. And I think it's very important to make it then very accessible. You know, if it goes through this heaviness sometimes in big corporates that, you know, has to register this and that. The session that I offer, they basically one click and it is in their calendar invite. It has to be as a calendar invite, because otherwise people won't, if they have to find another time to think again, where it just, once they, on one click, they've signed up to it. And then, so it's the simplicity of the program as well that makes it.
And so a special tip: no successful program has started through the structures of an organization. So it hasn't been a formal process that has made these programs so successful. What people love about it is that this is something that has started within the organization at grassroots level with ordinary people, and everybody feels that this is something that the organization is supporting for the personal benefit of the individual involved. All right, so how do you start that? Well, that's one of the things that Razia has given you a little bit of information about, but if you join Razia for her series of webinars, you're going to learn a lot more about how to actually start this at a grassroots level. Which brings me on to our special offer. We're just about wrapping up here. Essentially what it entails is 8 practical mindfulness sessions, exactly as Razia does it in GSK. Okay, so in other words, look, learn, and do from Razia. She's taught over 5,000 people in 50 different countries, a huge number of different cultures, languages that you have taught people. You've also, as you mentioned, presented at Harvard, you've presented at Oxford.
And I'm doing also the trainer now. I'm training 5 different people per language across the company to really embed this. And this, and there are a lot of studies to show that, you know, doing it with people inside the company, there is something about embedding it, you know, because mindfulness, everybody has it, awareness, but it's very powerful when people inside the company start talking about this language.
And so the sessions with Razia are going to be about mindfulness and change. So one of the challenges that organizations have is, how do we make change within our organization easier? And mindfulness is one of the great ways of getting change through an organization. Then it's mindfulness and creativity, mindfulness and priorities, mindfulness and emails. That's one of the scourges of today, isn't it? Is emails. How do we deal with that?
How can you be more mindful with your email? And meetings, because also the important thing is this. You know, these are the things that are in our present moment. Meetings. We have to attend meetings. So how can we be more mindful with our meetings, goals, planning, and communication? So very practical tips and practice.
Absolutely. That's great. So if anybody wants to, there is a special offer. You should be able to see it available there for you. And this special offer, the course is normally £500. And for people who have attended this webinar with us, we really appreciate you being here. So we're giving a special offer to you. It's £300. So you will save £200. £300 also is probably less than the cost of the company Christmas, or something like that. So really, in the bigger scheme of things, £300 is absolutely nothing. So please, do come along and join Razia. She's going to take you through her experience, 5 years at GSK doing this particular program, how she got it running, and the particularly important aspects of mindfulness at work. Plus, we're also going to give you a free copy of the Business Happiness Canvas, and that book will really, really explain to you in great detail how to get these types of interventions off to a grassroots movement, so that they become viral and spread through the organization and become embedded as part of the organization's DNA. And of course, if you sign up, we'll give you discounts to future webinars. Razia, we're going to be doing something on mindfulness and leadership.
Yeah.
There's mindfulness and nutrition. And yes, we'll be
more to come.
More to come.
Won't
Absolutely.
tell you more.
Yeah. So yeah, and I've also got there's a motivation letter as well. So if you want to, you can, if you need to motivate this in your organization, here we go. This is all set up for you. You just download this file, click on the download file link, and you'll be able to then get a free motivation letter that'll help you justify this within your organization, or for the princely sum of £300. As we will continue with a practice session. And this practice session this is what you do at GSK.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so here is something that you can just look at, listen to, absorb, and this is something that you will be able to implement in your own life as well as in the work life. And this is how Razia helps people at GSK to be less stressed, better manage stress, be more productive, creative, just in all a better person.
And in a way, mindfulness, you can read a lot about mindfulness. It's just like going to the gym. You can read about running, but if you don't run, if you don't go to the gym, then you won't embody that. Mindfulness needs to be lived. John Kabat-Zinn says mindfulness is waking up to your life as if it really mattered. So that's the reason why I show up lunchtime. I'm leading 3 different time zones, but that's why I do it. People are so busy, so the easier we can include it in their own calendars to stop, pause, and practice.
Okay.
So, was there any questions, Richard?
No questions at the moment.
So I'd like to guide you into the practice now, and hopefully you are in a place where, in a quiet place, and even if you're not, so taking the conscious choice to actually bring your intention inward now rather than outward. So inviting you to sit up straight in your chair if you can do that. If you're sitting, and you can even do this standing, you don't have to be sitting. But if you're sitting, I would like to invite you to sit away from the back of your chair. And maybe we can bring the next slide, Richard. And you will see in this picture how I'm sitting with there is a kind of alertness to my posture, to my back. And this is very important when we practice. So inviting you to even allowing your eyes to close if you feel comfortable to do so. We close our eyes because we want to bring our intention inward. And if you don't want to close your eyes, you can just lower your gaze in front of you. Soft. And just bringing your intention inward. Letting the world be just as it is right now. Shutting down any distraction. And knowing that nobody needs anything from you right now. So I'm going to ring a bell to start. And I'm going to ring a bell to bring you back. Just as best as you can, follow the guidance, follow the sound of my voice. And as you sit here, just acknowledge whatever is going through your mind right now. Any thoughts, without getting drawn into them, just allow them to pass. Simply acknowledge any feelings, Any body sensation, any tightness, any pain, discomfort, any impulses. Simply acknowledge. Nothing for you to do right now. Simply acknowledge, recognize what's here. Whenever you're ready, bringing that awareness now as if it was a spotlight of awareness, of attention, right into the movement of the breath in the body right now. The feeling of the breath. Feel your in-breath and feel your out-breath. No need to manipulate or force the breath in any way. Maybe noticing the beginning and the middle and the end of the in-breath. And the beginning and the middle and the end of the out-breath. Moment by moment. And of course the mind will wander off. Whenever you notice that the mind is not on the breath, the attention is not on your breath anymore, simply acknowledge where the mind has gone and gently bringing it back on the breath. And expanding that now to include the whole body. Feeling your whole body as a breathing body. Feeling into your posture, the straight back, your hands, feeling the shoulders dropped away from the ears, a sense of lightness or heaviness in your hands. Sense of being held perfectly just the way you are right now. Bringing the awareness down at the feet, into the legs, and feeling them planted on the floor. The whole weight of your lower body going down. And a sense of uplift in your spine, in your back, going up. Simply sitting, in a state of being, and switching from the usual mode of doing, simply be. Breath by breath. If the mind gets repeatedly drawn into the realm of thinking, of worrying, Gently returning back. Even if you have to do that 100 times, it's perfectly okay. Any tightness, any uncomfortableness. See if you can move in with your breath, breathing in and out of any tightness, not pushing away. Simply as if you could carry your awareness of your breath right into those areas of intense sensations or feeling. And as you gently come out of this practice, just notice how you feel right now. Just notice your presence, your mind and your body. How does it feel right now? And I'd like you to share this quote with you from William James, The Principles of Psychology. In 1890, he said, "The faculty of voluntarily bringing back a wandering attention over and over again is the very root of judgment, character, and will. And no one is competent if he have it not," in brackets. An education which should improve this faculty would be the education par excellence. Great. So we've got, as you can see, if anybody would love to come off mute and to just engage, and just curious to see how was the practice, what was going on. Definitely had the monkey going on. Yes, I'm curious how we got this embedded into the GSK in the first place. It was easier than I thought it would be to relax. Definitely had them. So, Janet, even knowing relaxing, so even knowing that you had the monkey mind going on, this in itself is very powerful because you were aware of it. And the problem is, most of us, the monkey mind is going on and we're not even aware of it. So we're completely in that state of mind. Whereas what we've done just now is take a step back. It's taking a step back to actually noticing where is your attention. So fabulous to know that it's the monkey mind. The point of the practice is not to stop the monkey mind, because we cannot do that. What we are doing is we are training the attention muscle. So the point of the practice is not even for you to relax. Look, Graham and Lawrence, you're saying you're feeling relaxed, but our intention was not even to do that. So how does that happen? You see, it's because we are constantly in the thinking mode. it's very tiring for the brain.
Okay, and that basically brings us to the end. We're going to hang around for a little while, so you can either stare at us. But if there are any questions, please do ask questions. We will be sending this a recording of this out within probably about 24 hours, so that you can watch it and go through it, pick up some of the items that you may have missed with the RnR, particularly on the practice. It's not always easy to get it right the first time round, but take some of this home. Take it to the workplace. You can start implementing this immediately and then come back. And we're starting a program next week. So please do make haste to join up, sign up with us, and we'll be taking you through a fantastic 8 weeks. It's 45 minutes per week, so it's not time intensive. You get a lot of time to practice, and RnR will be here constantly to help you. So you can email, chat, whatever it is, any help that you need. Yeah. You've got one of the world's leading experts on your side to help you in your organization with mindfulness, productivity, and well-being. So if there are any questions, please do pop them through on the chat, and we'll certainly help you out. Will you share the offer via email? Yes, Graham, I certainly will. I will email that out to everybody. No problem with that. And you'll also be able to pick up the offer through the webinar when it gets emailed out. But yes, Graham, we certainly will. Thank you very much for that. Whoa, that's us.
Bye, everyone.
That's it. Goodbye on the big screen. All righty. Cheers then.
Take care. Bye.